All right, let's go ahead and do a highlight video here. 4-game, 4-11, 4-12, Texas A&M and Auburn. One-way, runaway money here early in the week on this game. I'm host Adam Burke, joined by professional bettor and handicapper Brad Powers from bradpowersports.com. And Brad, this one was a runaway train on Texas A&M all the way up to 7 early in the week as a road favorite against Auburn. But we're starting to see some mild signs of buyback on Auburn in the marketplace.
I like Auburn. We've seen runaway money on A&M the last couple of weeks. Didn't work out so great last week against LSU. That wasn't a good look for the Aggies. But let me first talk about Auburn here. Every year, Gus Malzahn has a game where Auburn plays out of their mind, and you're sitting there, you're wondering, wow, is this what Auburn could be? Usually it's against Alabama, but it's usually them stepping up in the home underdog role. You look at them the last 5 years as a home dog, they're 6-1 against the spread. They've won 5 of those games outright. They're covering by 2 touchdowns a game. And yeah, statistically, they haven't been great. They've been very fortunate to win a bunch of games this year, Auburn. But to me, this is a step-up game for them. And I thought last week, even though they lost by 29 to Alabama, they moved the football. They got outgained by less than 100 yards. That's very respectable against the Crimson Tide team that also beat A&M by 4 touchdowns this year. I think A&M's a top 10 team, and I got them in the top 10 of my power ratings. But are you kidding me? I made the number 3, so I agreed more with the opener. I can't get this A&M offense, which is maddeningly inconsistent. I can't lay 7 points with them against Auburn. I like the Tigers, and not only that, but I think they could win the game outright. Everyone's talking, everything's a certainty. Oh, it's going to be Notre Dame and Clemson. It's going to be Alabama, and maybe if Florida can beat Alabama, Ohio State's in. Oh, Texas A&M, they're in great position. All of that's not going to play out perfectly. It never does. So everyone thinking that A&M's got a shot at the playoff, obviously they do, but things don't work out that way in college football. I think we're kind of due to have like a big upset, and I don't think this is going to be that big of an upset, but it will raise eyebrows nationally. Top 5 team going down.
Yeah, I have this line 3 as well, interestingly enough. So you and I both with a pretty significant overlay on this game. And I've talked about this with Texas A&M throughout the season here on the show, much to the chagrin of some of the Aggie fans and some of the other bettors that we have that listen to the show. I worry about Texas A&M when they play teams that are on a similar talent level as them. And we saw it last week against LSU. Kellen Mond was awful in that game. And I know that Texas A&M probably should have had the shutout, probably should have had the cover, but it was the first game where we saw their offense, really struggle in the trenches, and Mond did not play well. This game kind of could set up the same way with an Auburn team that is clearly better than this year's version of the LSU Tigers. So
yeah, they beat LSU by 35.
Right. And I think that Auburn, look, they still recruit at a very high level. They still have tons of talent. Are they the most consistent team in college football? No. Do I worry about Bo Nix turning the football over? Absolutely. But I think Texas A&M, who wants to run the football, I think they will struggle to do it here against Auburn. And if you have to put it in Kellen Mond's hands, I'm not asking Kellen Mond to cover a touchdown against a decent Auburn team on the road here. And I know that obviously home field advantage watered down, so on and so forth, but this number is too big. And like we talked about earlier on in the show with Florida, when we talked about their game against Tennessee, people desperately want some sort of challenger to Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. And they've put Texas A&M up on that pedestal, and maybe they are that good. And maybe they cover this game and win this game comfortably. I'll pay to see it. I'm on Auburn +7 here as well. So there you go. A consensus opinion from us on this Texas A&M and Auburn game coming up in week 14. Make sure you subscribe to our ATS YouTube page for our highlight videos, and also make sure you subscribe to the full editions of our ATS Radio podcast.